NED is not just NED or its four cores or its media arm C.I.A. It absorbs the universities. It absorbs the unions. It absorbs the business community. It absorbs the politicians. It absorbs the lawyers. You're never more than a couple of degrees away from NED. For those who are in outer space today and don't know what all happened, a clause was inserted into the emergency funding bill that instated full funding at the 2024 Biden level for the National Endowment for Democracy. The worst NGO in the world, the laugh in your face intelligence agency cutout. Cutout is too gracious. It just is the CIA. How can you call this a cutout? I just posted this earlier today as one of, 10 trillion gazillion receipts. Take this alone. The House voted to defund NED in 1984 by a large 50-vote margin. Then Republican C.I.A. Director Bill Casey made a back-channel deal with Democrat Senator Bill Proxmire to insert a toothless, non-binding agreement with Senate oversight. The Senate rejected the House's amendment and kept full funding for NED. The CIA literally personally lobbied on NED's behalf to get the funding. The CIA is who saved the funding for the National Endowment for Democracy. And that was only the second year in existence. Do you even call it a cutout at that point? I don't mean to get stuck on this cutout phenomenon, but if they can get away with this, they can get away with anything. This is CIA Director Bill Casey writing to the head of the Justice Department, attaches a packet on the National Endowment for Democracy. I'm persuaded that the attached proposal has significant merit on creating an institute, the Council or National Endowment. Obviously, we, the CIA, should not get out in front of the development of such an organization, nor do we wish to appear to be a sponsor or advocate. Nevertheless, the need appears real, and I believe our national fabric for dealing with many issues and problems will be well served by the creation of NED. So the head of the CIA writing that NED should be created, and we're strongly telling you on the inside to back the creation of NED, but publicly we can't appear to be a sponsor or advocate or to be getting out in front of it. And the head of the organization says it would be terrible for democratic groups around the world to be seen as subsidized by the CIA. That was discontinued after the disaster of the 60s. We've lost the capacity, and that's why NED was created, to be the bagman for the CIA. NED is not just NED, or its four cores, or its media arm C.I.A. It absorbs the universities. It absorbs the unions. It absorbs the business community. It absorbs the politicians. It absorbs the lawyers. You're never more than a couple of degrees away from NED. And today, the House of Representatives, thanks to Representative Eli Crane, who's phenomenal, he proposed an amendment to the Senate Appropriations Bill to zero out the $315 million allocated to NED. And you can see by the vote total, every single Democrat voted to give full funding to NED. Every single one, 210 to 0. And 81 Republicans sided with the Democrats, over a third of the Republican Party, for an overwhelming majority to keep NED at full funding. Now, if you add up the abstains, because not only did 81 say no, 12 were too cowardly to even cast a vote. Didn't want to piss off the base by voting to fund it. Didn't want to piss off the establishment by voting to defund it. But if you add up the abstains with the nays, if Republicans had voted in a block like Democrats, they have the majority after all, Republicans, NED funding will be killed. But instead, like I tweeted here, 100% Democrats and 38% Republicans voted to fund NED. This is why winning a presidency and a simple majority in Congress isn't enough. You need America for a supermajority to overcome what you saw today, which is the exact shape and topography of the uniparty blob. Now, I never expected this to pass. And even if it did pass, I did not expect it to clear the Senate. Twice, the House of Representatives in U.S. history, once in 1984 and once in 1993, passed an amendment just like the one proposed here. And it did pass, unlike today where it didn't even pass. But both times, the Senate voted to disregard the amendment. So even if we had cleared this hurdle, it's very unlikely that the Senate, which is even more blobbed up than the House, would have kept the amendment. Long shot doesn't even begin to describe it. If there's one theme that I've impressed more than any other across all of our streams, I think it has been this. But the blocker, as I've said so many times, is not Democrats. If that's all it was, all these things could be fixed. It's the blob side of the GOP. It's the fact that the blob side of the GOP can team up with the Democrats to create a congressional majority, which then has the check and balance against the executive branch. That's why we've spent so much time on the history of the Bush dynasty. That's why we've spent so much time on Iran-Contra, which happened with a Republican president, a Republican CIA director, a Republican National Security Council. That's why we've spent so much time on the IRI, the Republican wing of the National Endowment for Democracy. That's why we've spent so much time talking about the Chamber of Commerce and big oil and the military-industrial complex, which forms the major support system of establishment GOP. It's been because this is the real obstacle to change. Otherwise, we could have fixed all this back in Trump 1. It was the Republican FBI who put the special prosecutor on Trump. It was the Republican GOP, John McCain and David Kramer, who did the Christopher Steele dossier leaking. I mean, I could go on and on forever on this. I did not expect this to be achieved by Congress anytime soon.